There's a common belief that the final product is the only truly valuable thing. However, in knowledge work, the creative industries, and academia, each brainstorm, slide deck, sketch, draft, and mock-up is a potential building block for future projects and for delivering value. There's a rising trend in sharing the work that went into producing the final deliverable. Often the small pieces of knowledge we create in the process can be doorways to further knowledge and future projects. As a knowledge worker, creative, or student, you're always producing these smaller bits of knowledge along the way to producing your final deliverables. After refining them into something that you can move or repurpose elsewhere, you create what's known as an intermediate packet. Intermediate packets are the Lego bricks of your knowledge. They are the raw notes that have been refined into a project building block. Think of how you might repurpose your research notes, brainstorms, outlines, presentation slides, free workshops, and sketches. These are all pieces of tangible knowledge that you create as a normal part of your everyday work and life. The big idea here is that they can be reused and recycled in future projects. Instead of delivering all the value in one big lump at the end, you deliver value at smaller, more frequent chunks. Thinking in this way forces you to break down the big and sometimes overwhelming projects into many small, achievable bites. It can also jumpstart your motivation as you see how you deliver value at each step in the process and even beyond the end of the project. In this lesson, we're going to do a brainstorming exercise to get you familiar with identifying what intermediate packets you might need or already have to complete your projects. Big things are often made up of many smaller things. Sometimes those smaller things can be recycled and used elsewhere. Often they can have a life of their own, and in some cases they're valuable just by themselves. One way you can begin maximizing your return on attention is by treating each part of this process as a reusable Lego brick. In this lesson, we're going to take a future project and break it down into a series of intermediate packets. This gives you an overview of the new bits of knowledge that you need to create or gather from your second brain. Take one of the projects that you have in your projects database that you haven't started yet. I'm going to start with this one, the Client 1 website. In this page, create a bullet point list of all the smaller units of knowledge and work that could move you closer to the final deliverable. For example, to create this, I'd probably need to create some kind of client brainstorm or mind map. I'm also going to need to create some kind of visual design inspiration board, perhaps in Pinterest. I may also want to gather a list of my 5 favorite website templates from other designers. I'm probably also going to include a selection of my favorite branding colors, a landing page layout. I already built one of these, so I'm going to use the double square brackets to open up the backlink feature and then link to my landing page layout that I made in module 5. And finally, I'm going to need to create some draft website copy. This includes all of the text and writing. Pause the video now and try this for yourself. Press play when you're done, and I'll be waiting right here. Nice. You should have a list of smaller things that make up the bigger thing. Hopefully you can see that each of these intermediary packets is a Lego block towards the final deliverable. Maybe you notice that you don't have any of the smaller things in your second brain already, in which case this project is going to feel like a heavy lift. If you notice that you already have loads of great resources in your second brain that you can just string together to complete this project, then this project will feel like a piece of cake. As a general rule of thumb, I try not to take on projects until I have about 60 to 80% of the intermediary packets that are required to complete it. If you're lacking the required intermediary packets, then ask yourself, how can I simplify the project? Or what would a smaller project look like that can lead up to this bigger one? Another thing that you may have noticed is that many of the items on the list contain the potential to have a life of their own outside of this project. I may choose to reuse the draft website text on a similar client's work. I might even have that list of 5 favorite websites turn into a blog post or a social media post. This visual design inspiration board, that could be a template that I use in future projects. By teasing out each of those smaller chunks of value and creating resources that future projects can use and that I can share, then we can really begin to maximize our return on attention.